Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S., or should help South Africa, and should help the Iraq, a little Asian country, so we will be able to build up our future for it. Thank you very much.
It's important to take a step back and realize that actually Kamala Harris's stupidity, and we'll show you example after example after example from last night, but her denseness and empty suit on these issues, like the fracking issue. This is unbelievable. This is the best one of the night, maybe. The fracking issue is so good because it just shows she's an empty shell of a human being. She's a husk. There's nothing there. There's no values that tie her down. There's no morals. There's nothing anchoring her at all. She is one of those waveable, inflatable arm men, right in front of the used car lot. She's one of those people, and she's been totally and completely captured by our intel agencies, and they're running her as a system candidate. The person doesn't matter. All that matters is that they maintain the infrastructure of power. The structures of power that Lisa Monaco and Susan Rice and all of the Obama apparatchiks and everybody who Trump fired, that they all get their jobs back, that they all get their lawsuits settled, that they all keep the federal government belonging to them. It's an important reminder that Kamala Harris was, as a junior senator, put on the Intel committee. Why? Why is Kamala Harris put on the Intel committee? She's stupid, right? You can see that in her Senate questioning. She's dumb, but she was selected, not elected, selected. Way back when. Kamala Harris knows, and she's known this her entire career, that she does not deserve the station that she has, that she is not worthy of the positions that she is being accelerated into. And maybe not that she's not worthy, but that she's not ready, right? And clearly this was on display last night, that she's being hyper accelerated based on the leftist obsession with intersectional politics and identity politics. And she's being accelerated in these positions for them to try and trick people into voting for her. And in order for that to work, Kamala Harris has to stay as far away from the cameras as possible, because she trades up when she starts talking and when people start realizing how dumb she is, what a liar she is. And so this is the point of Kamala Harris. The point of Kamala Harris is a feature, not a bug. She's there to be stupid. She's there to be an empty husk. She's there to be an empty vessel. She's simply there to be a placeholder, much like Joe Biden was. And actually, the feature is that she doesn't believe in anything. She doesn't stand for anything. She's a totally, wholly, controllable, empty pantsuit. And that's it. And that's what you saw last night. A system runs people like this. And the system does this in order to survive. It's parasitic. It's grotesque, actually, in its practices. But the system continues. If they can trick people into voting for individuals like Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. And they have to do this through a series of riggings. They have to do this through the corporate press, who they control stem to stern. They have to lie to the American people. In fact, their native tongue is lying to the American people, whether it's about WMDs in Iraq, whether it's about the COVID shots, whether it's about, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor with Obamacare. It's all lies. It's all predicated on one single goal, which is to maintain and keep and engorge more power. Kamala Harris is, of course, there to do that. It will be complete and total unanimity of government. She will keep on every person with who currently serves for Joe Biden, and she will keep the entire government, the rotted, diseased government infrastructure apparatus that has censored Americans, that has persecuted Americans, that has started multiple wars, that has spiraled our national debt, that has crippled our economy, that has trampled your personal rights, your civil liberties, she will keep that going. That machine must continue and carry on. That's the point of Kamala Harris, and it's proven last night. Okay, so this is the easiest way for me. We're going to play some longer clips of Kamala's answers, and we're going to break them down. But here's the easiest way. This is the easiest way for us to actually explain to you what an empty vessel this is. Kamala Harris, who apparently forgot that TV cameras, the internet exist, went onto a debate stage when she was running for president. Remember, she's an intel asset. She was anointed to the intel agency, the intel committee in the Senate. That's like the highest committee you can get on. That happened as a junior senator, like immediately. They were priming her and grooming her entire career. This is why she has such crippling anxiety. This is why she looked like such a train wreck last night, because she's not ready for primetime. She's a choker. She's known in the sports world as a choker, somebody who has a lot of hype in the draft, somebody who has a lot of press and media coverage, and then they hit the big time, they hit the big lights, and they collapse right onto their face. They fumble, they miss shots, they're a nightmare. They're a choker, okay? Kamala Harris, extremely, extremely unprepared for this current moment. And it's clear that what she has, much like Barack Obama, what has happened with Kamala Harris is that the infrastructure, the permanent state, the ghost in the machine realizes that they have a perfectly controllable idiot who tickles the nerves of like white left-wing wine moms, and just based on her identity, and that they're going to try and cobble something together. Okay. And based on far less on Kamala Harris, anything about Kamala Harris, far more about Donald Trump, right? Trying to create a contrast with Trump. Well, to create a contrast with Trump, you're going to have to stand for something. Orange man bad is not a presidential policy or platform. That doesn't help anyone. Orange man bad, however, is all that the DNC convention was about. Kamala Harris's vacuous speech, not really about anything. But that's because what was proven last night in this, what was a 50-minute interview, it only aired for 18 minutes. Well, why would that be? It's a 50-minute interview. CNN has 50 minutes of this interview. They won't release the transcript. They edited the answers. We now know this. Kamala Harris is still collapsing in the polls, and they refuse to release the full interview. Release the interview. Then we're going to get that trending today on X. Okay. Here we go. Kamala Harris forgot that TV cameras and the internet existed. Here's why. Because Kamala Harris said this in the year 2019, when you had a very similar Kamala Harris boom and bust. And remember, Kamala Harris had all this glowing media coverage. She had spiked in the polls. There were a bunch of people who were fawning all over her. She was a really special candidate. Wow. So history. So fresh. So history. This is what they tried to pull in 2020, and it collapsed spectacularly. Kamala Harris didn't even make it to Iowa. They ran Kamala Harris as like a far extremist left-winger, and here's what she had to say about fracking.
Question, I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands. Right?
We clapped.
And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah, so thank you.
Oh, okay. So she's in favor of banning fracking, and applause. We clapped. Yay, we liked it. She loved it. She said it as an applause line. She waited. She paused. She waited for all the adoration of strangers, which, of course, is how you know a true sociopath is the people who obsessively search out for the adoration of total and complete strangers. That's a good image. Thank you, Jamie. Let's make sure we load that one. This is what Kamala Harris had to say last night. The first question, and this is, again, Dana Bash, whose husband signed the Hunter Biden laptop letter, the fake Hunter Biden laptop letter. This is the first question out of the gate. And it's intended to be like light on Kamala, but I guess give Dana Bash credit where credit is due. She actually did push this issue. And she said, you've lied about fracking. How do you defend that? Watch.
You still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
Yeah, I can show you why this is happening. I can show you polling out of Pennsylvania. Or like half of Western Pennsylvania is like a fracking job. You ever been out there? I've driven out there a bunch of times. Half of Western Pennsylvania is like a massive fracking industry. And so this, I can tell you, this is why Kamala Harris is doing this, because there's no path for Kamala Harris without Pennsylvania. So how can you trust somebody like that? You can't find issues like that for President Trump. You can't. You can't. She continues to get pressed about this, and here's what she has to say about her values.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
What is a deadline around time? That's like a really great, easy follow-up, right? This is why I'm so excited for the Trump-Kamala debates. I'm more excited about that than the Joe Biden debates. I'm more excited about that because it is so easy. You just put up the dumpster fire. This is such great. This is good. This is very good. This is very good. There you go. Okay. So a good example of what happened last night. Well, I'm so excited for these debates because unlike Joe Biden, who said we beat Medicare, and there's really no response to that, Donald Trump goes, yeah, he beat it to death. All right. There's really no response to that. You can't really argue that. Like, okay, we beat Medicare. What are you talking about? Like, you couldn't respond to Joe Biden. You can respond to this. It's like so easy. You respond to this, and you just be, it's simple. It's shadow boxing, right? Deadlines around time. What do you mean deadlines around time? Please explain. Go.
That the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have.
Can you see Trump right there? Can you see Trump? Deadlines around time? What does that even mean? What is she even talking about? Donald Trump said something similar with the Joe Biden debates. I'm not sure what he just said, and I don't think he knows what he just said. Deadlines around time? What? It didn't make any sense. It's just not real. It is, Matt Walsh likens it to somebody trying to stretch an essay to 1,000 words in middle school. I can liken it to I have a 4-year-old, and when she's in trouble, she tries to give explanations for things that are clearly her fault and problems that she caused. And the explanations are winding and always starts with well, there's you can just tell in the inflection, right? That she's not telling the truth. And this was Kamala Harris. This was Kamala Harris last night. She looked rough. She looked miserable. The optics were terrible. Guys, get me a photo. Get me that photo of them at the table. The optics were horrible. She looked like she was doing a parent-teacher conference. She looked like she was had her dad taking her to a job interview for McDonald's job. She never actually did. The optics are really bad. There's actually really funny. The people are making Kamala smaller and smaller. All right, get me that thread. It's really funny. Let's go through that thread. Here's the good one. Here's the big one. Here's the one from last night that like really hit. Kamala on Joe Biden's decline. So this is like an important question. Why isn't Joe Biden running for president? You seem to have guaranteed the entire nation that Joe Biden was fit to serve, and you did so time and time again. In fact, one time you giggled at the camera and said Joe Biden is very much alive and running for president, which seems to me to be quite the bloody glove in all of this. Like, why would you use that term? Why would you use the term alive? Nonetheless, Kamala Harris last night was actually asked about Joe Biden, how this all went about, Joe Biden dropping out, and why Joe Biden isn't actually the candidate right now. And the answer was insufferable. Watch.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
Joe Biden is currently on a beach right now. I can give me a status on Joe Biden. Show me. Joe Biden's currently on a beach right now. Now, some people are saying, like, this is funny. Who's actually running the country? And maybe that's just something that we've learned, that we don't actually need a president. Do we actually need a president in this nation? I mean, yes, of course we do. We need the right president. These people are blob presidents, right? Joe Biden has been sitting his ass on the beach and has been doing nothing. And by the way, like, who allows themselves to be filmed doing this? Donald Trump has a really funny take on this, but like, why are you allowing yourself to be filmed sleeping on the beach? It's like you knowingly want to denigrate the country. Why are you allowing that? Joe Biden has been sitting on the beach. So he did a week vacation at a billionaire's residence after an entire convention talking about how much they hate billionaires. He does a week vacation at a billionaire's residence in California. Then he's doing 2 weeks in Delaware doing this. So he's just sitting there in Delaware. Now, many people said this is because Joe Biden's lazy. I think that it's because Joe Biden wants nothing to do with what's happening with Kamala Harris. I think Joe Biden doesn't want to be associated with Kamala Harris. I actually think Joe Biden has retreated because he knows what a true nightmare this is going to be. And remember, up until his last gasp, his last dying gasp on the campaign trail, Joe Biden was saying that Kamala Harris can't win. In fact, the weekend, the last press conference that Joe Biden ever gave as resident, he sits there and he goes, nobody has shown me that Kamala Harris can win. Kamala Harris can't win. This is what Joe Biden says. And so I think that Joe Biden is actually doing this to run away. He's doing this to retreat. He's doing this because he's scared. He doesn't want to have to answer questions. Like the obvious follow-up question to what Kamala Harris just said there about Joe Biden. What is the obvious follow-up? What's the obvious follow-up? So Kamala Harris just talking about Joe Biden, how great he is. Kamala Harris says Joe Biden is fit. He's beloved. He loves this country. He's so good. He's such a great president. I work with him hand in glove. And Dana Bash is sitting there. Ask the follow-up. The follow-up is simple. Why isn't he running then? Why isn't Joe Biden sitting here doing the interview with me? Why? It's like such an obvious, it's like the job is so easy and it's so simple to be done by Donald Trump when he's across from her at a debate. Okay? It's like simple stuff. This is easy stuff. This is all Donald Trump needs to do. Go, oh, hey, wow. You look different than the last guy I just debated up here. Interesting. And they'll scream misogyny, right? They'll scream no matter what Trump says to her, they'll scream that it's sexist, okay, and bigoted. Trump should do it anyway. Like Trump should just say, why did you replace Joe Biden? Why was there an old, crusty, decrepit, dementia-riddled white dude here? And now the next debate that we agreed to, because Trump is doing the next debate, September 10th. Now suddenly, poof, look what happened. Why is that? Why did this happen, Kamala? Nobody has ever pushed her on this. Nobody's pushed her on this. Do we have the clip? Give the clip yesterday from Kamala Harris talking about pancakes and when she found out about all this. Do you got it? Yeah, okay. You know, like she was like kind of pushed about this, and she's like, "Auntie, I was cooking pancakes, and auntie this, auntie that." It's always like some type of auto. She immediately, whenever Kamala Harris is challenged, people have told her that the laugh creeps people out. So then what they're doing to change the programming is they go to like Lifetime, made for TV, autobiographical, where they're like, if you're ever asked a tough question, just like giggle and say you were cooking with your family. And it's an immediate deflection. It's actually a tactic that she used yesterday, and it was her entire convention speech. The entire convention speech was her saying, my mama this, my mama that. We don't care how short your mom was. He said this many times. Like it is irrelevant to the state of the country how short your mother was, where she came from, who she was. We don't care. It is irrelevant to us. And this is what she used yesterday when she was talking about how Joe Biden called her and auntie was cooking. We got it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, go.
Here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, you know, auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle.
Okay. You're missing the point of the question. The point was not like pancakes and puzzles. The point was about how did the coup take place against Joe Biden, and why isn't Joe Biden sitting there doing the interview? That was the point of the question. The entire night was just kindergarten level deflections from like children. And it says so little, like the fact that this interview is getting some praise from the left shows how low the bar actually is. The bar has been lowered to Dante's Inferno. The bar has been lowered through the molten lava of the core of the earth for Democrats. And this was the people, some people on the left, obviously being paid by Kamala's team, they are praising this. This is how, what does it say about their opinion of Kamala Harris? That like they have to treat her like a toddler. They have to treat her like a small handicapped child, right? And like giggling and telling stories. What about the border? She was asked about the border. This one's great. I can't wait for this in the debate. I cannot wait for the debate. I'm licking my chops. Go.
Issue, big one, is immigration. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
So the angle here, the tactic here is going to be Orange Man bad. When it comes to the border, they're going to say Orange Man bad. When President Trump proved every second of his administration that executive action can close the border, we were all alive like 4 years ago. The lowest border crossings in human history were done exclusively through executive action. Executive action just can close the border. The day one, Joe Biden rolls back every single border protection that President Trump put in place. Why? These are like simple questions to ask. These are like simple. These are the rock on tour. These are like simple ways to shadow box out of an answer like that. So they've all been coached to say that Donald Trump actually killed the border bill, which would have granted amnesty to 10 million illegals. So of course Republicans are going to be against that. It's like it's galaxy brain level. A galaxy brain. So they're blaming that. I mean, again, so easy. Just a simple follow-up question from Dana Bash, who like was biting her tongue clearly on all of this. Really? Well, you stopped every single executive act. You rescinded every single executive order on the border on day one. Why'd you do that? Why haven't you closed the border? It's obvious. They want a horse trade amnesty through Congress. They want to ratchet up the pressure. The communists always do the same thing. They want to ratchet up the social pressure, ratchet up the pain for the actual citizens of the country until people just give in. And what the give in is get me 30 million new Democrat voters and a permanent Democrat majority forever, because elections are won by like 40,000 votes. So get me 30 million new Democrat voters. That's how you do it. That's what the point is. And that's what the leverage point is for them on all this. So this, like, it's so one simple follow-up. So I hope President Trump is doing this with Tulsi Gabbard, who he is doing debate prep with. One simple follow-up destroys every answer here. That's all you need. Oh, okay. If Joe Biden's so sharp, why isn't he sitting here today? If you were so good, if it's Donald Trump's fault that the border is a crime scene, an international crime scene, human and child trafficking crime scene under your administration, you're the border czar. Why did you rescind all of his policies that secured the border? It's like simple stuff that just immediately fry your brain, right? The fracking question. Apparently the fracking question is actually what sent the interview spiraling. Because Kamala Harris can't answer. She has no answer because she is no one. She's nobody. She is nothing, right? She does everything, every policy prescription, every value, every opinion, every feeling. It's all been told to her. It's all been read into her, right? And so she stands for nothing. She is nothing. And she is a representative. That's the feature, not the bug. She's a representative of a system that wishes to maintain control. And they need somebody that vacuous. Oh, man. The good ones are with the economy. So how do you defend the economy, Kamala? Go.
But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging.
She keep looking down. What's going on there? Why she continues to look down? I believe she had notes. Here was the setup. Why is the setup so dark? What's going on here? How small is Kamala Harris? This actually looks like a kindergartner. I think this is an edited one, but it's still really funny. But it's still, it's not too edited. This looks very similar to what the actual shot looked like. How small is Kamala Harris? Doesn't it look like a parent-teacher conference? Doesn't look like a dad at Dairy Queen doing a job interview, like taking his daughter, his preteen daughter, to a job interview. It's such a bad look. Why would you choose like some dark back room, like dimly lit? Are they in a diner? Is that where all the coffee cups? Where's so many coffee cups? You've raised like billions of dollars. Who decided to do it here? Who's the set designer here? Who chose this location? And you can see there's a hidden cup. There's like a hidden cup under Kamala Harris. Like were they trolling Kamala Harris? Dana Bash put up an image, and you can see Kamala Harris has like hidden cups like under her legs. It's just BT. It's just amateur hour. The whole thing. It's painful to watch. It was indefensible how they answered these questions. And the worst part about all of it was that they didn't even think through the easiest layups, right? So like if I was on their team, obviously you're going to get a question about Donald Trump playing the identity politics game, which he should not play. As we have said many times, Donald Trump shouldn't play because it's like pig wrestling and don't wrestle a pig in mud. They created identity politics, the left, out of their own sheer racism, and they want Donald Trump to play the identity politics game. So when Donald Trump talks about Kamala Harris's background, that's where they want him, right? So don't do it. And Donald Trump hasn't made that mistake since. But Kamala Harris was asked about that, and she should have had a natural and quick, or at the very least rehearsed answer. Here's what you got.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
That was the closest we got to a cackle, because you could see how uncomfortable she was. Like, at least come up with some sassy comeback or something. Like she's gonna get destroyed. Do we have Donald Trump's response on Truth Social? Donald Trump saying, "I cannot wait to debate her."